In this video, we'll illustrate how to use EdPuzzle to annotate a video. In other words, to put questions in it that the students have to respond to as they watch the video. So let's go ahead and just select a video. So here I'm going to just type in YouTube, and let's go ahead and paste in a URL here, which is one here for a specific video on particle physics. So you can see that this video has an unnecessary introduction. So I could scroll through to where I get to the material that I'm really interested in. Now I can play this.
You've probably heard that all matter is made of atoms. You've even probably seen this little logo for an atom, which shows a tiny nucleus with electrons swirling around it. Atoms like these are the smallest examples of the various elements, and you could reasonably think of them as the universe's ultimate building blocks.
So let's say I wanted to put some kind of a question and so forth at this point. So I'll click on questions right here, and I could put a multiple choice question and say what orbits the nucleus. And you could put here, various different things like, let's say, electrons, neutrons, etc. So now it's just basically the same idea, just making a regular test. So I click on OK, and now I can go to the next question. So let's play the video.
However, nearly a century ago, physicists realized that this wasn't the final word. We discovered that the nucleus of the atom was made of varying numbers of two particles called protons and neutrons. This was a substantial simplification in our understanding of the universe. Rather than 100 chemical elements, we now realized that with a mere 3 subatomic particles called protons, neutrons, and electrons, we could, in principle at least, construct an entire cosmos. And that.
So now let's go ahead, and I wanted to have an open-ended question here, and I'd say, why is the understanding that matter is made of just 3 particles so important? Now, again, it's free response questions, so they understand kind of the elegance of the idea. In other words, rather than having like 115, 120 different elements, now you can just talk about protons, neutrons, and electrons. In other words, you're getting down to the fact that it's just made of those. So we'll go ahead and I'll save that there. Now, as this continues to play out,
that is a pretty impressive achievement. However, during the 1940s through the 1960s, physicists discovered many more subatomic particles in experiments using particle accelerators. Rather than the simple model of 3 particles, literally hundreds of subatomic particles were discovered. Clearly, another simplifying insight was in order.
So now you could put like a note, like, let's say I wanted to talk about what a particle accelerator is. So let's say I go over here and I say, okay, I'm going to go to CERN, which is where a lot of this research has been done, and I'll click on the CERN page here, and I'll just say, okay, home.cern, and now I can just put in here and say, please see CERN. Okay, so I'll click on that, and now we have a link. So when the student watches this, now they can go off and they can read more about CERN and how we have these particle accelerators and how we can find these hundreds of subatomic particles and so forth. We're going to go ahead and we can save that. And as we go through the video here,
turns out that there are 6 leptons as well. 3 of these leptons have electrical charge. These are the electron, the muon, and the tau. The other 3 are neutrinos, which are electrically neutral.
So now if I want to do a voiceover, okay, I could do a voiceover right here normally, but because of I'm pulling something off of YouTube, I can't actually add it right here, but if it's my own video, I could. And so those are the 3 major types of questions and so forth you can put onto YouTube, onto EdPuzzle. And the nice thing is that working in EdPuzzle, you can actually see the responses that your students have given. So for example, if I go and look at my own content, content that I put up there. I can see the contributions that my students have made to the various different questions and so forth. So if I click on, let's say, this one here under plausible explanation, here's a video that I've marked up with all these little dots indicate various different places that I've put in various different questions. And if I click on my gradebook right here, I can see if I wanted to look at gradebook for a particular class, I could go down and I could see, okay, what the students and so forth had responded to on what particular exams. Now, it looks like I don't have any grade books here on this stuff to talk about, but basically you could see their performance on various different activities. Okay, so anyway, this is kind of just a general introduction to EdPuzzle and how to annotate a video for your student use.